Hi, this is Mick with Bushcraft. I'm going to film a quick tutorial on how I set up my tent. And if you've never set up a tent before, I hope you find it instructive. Your particular tent may be a little different from mine, but a lot of modern tents set up almost the same. So even though your steps might be a little different from mine when you set up your tent for the first time, I think you'll still see some things that are very common when you see me set up mine. So stay with me, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you listen, you can hear the hawks screeching. When I'm picking out my campsite, one of the things that's very important is the limbs and dead trees. They call them widowmakers. Are there any widowmakers around here? Right now, no. There is a tree that has some limbs that I'm safe right now. If the limbs fall, they're probably not going to make it to the tent. They're going to fall probably about where the camera is right now. Just slide through little pockets. This was a good brand name tent. I would not have spent the $20 or $25 had this not been a brand name of tent. So far, so good. I've used it several times, and I've babied it, and it's held up, so yay. The moral of the story really is keep your eyes open, and if you're a cheap SOB like me, you may find a deal in the unlikeliest places. All right, here we can see the spike that I drove in. I just pushed it in with my hands. You don't have to have a mallet. You don't have to have a hatchet. You can use a rock, or you can use the weight of your body many times to get one of these spikes in the ground. Okay. There are the four corners, and there on each of the four sides is a little snap like this. Snap. Snap. And that'll put tension on the material, which makes it ride a little better in the rain if it rains. This is what's called a two-wall tent or a double-walled tent. If I left this alone like it is, it's more like a little screen house, and it works. It keeps the bugs out, and there's lots of ventilation. But if it rains, it's going to get in through the screen here. So the second wall goes over the top. It's a rain fly, and the second wall is there to keep the rain off, and yet the air can still flow through this mesh. So stay with me. I'll show you that. But these have little hooks, little hooks that'll hook in the ring in the corner. So I'm going to start hooking these guys. Two. I'm going to raise the tent up just a little bit and hook this hook underneath the ring. And there it is. there's still one more. This particular design has almost like a bill of a cap that you put on the front. There's a little pocket underneath right here. I'm going to run this through the little pocket. And then I'm going to bend it and put it in. There's two little holes here with grommets. This is going to bend, and watch what happens. Okay, so this is sort of like the bill of the cap. This is just a little stiffener, and when the rain comes it'll run off this way, and I'll have a little bit of an awning here. So this is my front door, and we'll look at the inside here in a second. Okay, this particular, remember this is a cheap tent. I could leave it just like it is, but the rain fly doesn't allow for maximum, the way it's laying on the tent doesn't allow for maximum ventilation in hot weather. And right now it's August. Now it's supposed to be very cool tonight. I'm in North Georgia and it's going to cool off a little bit, but not super cool. So we're in the high 80s, low 90s right now. So what I want to do is I want to maximize the airflow, and I'm going to show you a trick on how I do that. Okay, so when I want to maximize the airflow on the rain fly, what I'll do is I'll find something smooth. In this case, this is looks like a pecan, some sort of a nut. I'll find something smooth like a stone or a nut, and I'll use some extra cordage that I have specifically for the purpose, and I'll show you the trick. Okay, so I've got three pieces. I've got something that I have found right here, which is the nut. I've got the cordage that I've brought, and I've got an extra stake. And what I'll do is I'll use my object, whatever it is, to make a little dimple in the material, and then I'll loosen up my loop a little bit. Put my loop around the nut and tighten it down. And so now what I've done is this. That way I don't have to punch a hole in my material. I can just tie this little slip knot around the nut. What I do is I put a little half hitch on to kind of lock it all down. And then I will pull this out and plant my stake. Sort of. There we go. And there you have it. This will give extra airflow underneath. And the taut line hitch is used when you need to put tension. Right now I've loosened it, but you can also run this taut line hitch up and it'll lock down on itself. You don't need any sort of a plastic tensioner or anything like that to pull this line taut. Taut or tight, taut line hitch means you can tighten up a loop on a line. So we're good. This time I'm going to use a little rock that I found. Okay, so it's tight. Put my little half hitch in to kind of keep everything together. Good. Taut line hitch already tied in. One of the things that I like to do to save time is I keep my lines tied in the way that I need. I kept the loop in here and I kept my taut line hitch in here from my last trip. Now this is loose and I can use the taut line hitch. And to show you some more about the versatility of this technique, this time I've got a little wood chip. So on the one side I've got a nut, the other side I've got a rock. Here I found a wood chip that's pretty good size. So I've locked down this item in the material. I put my little half hitch on to lock it down. And like the other ones, I've still got my taut line hitch tied into this line. And actually I don't need as much line as I thought, so I'm going to do this and then tighten it up. We'll go inside real quick. I want to air this place out. So here's the front door, and this screen part falls down to get maximum ventilation here. So I'm going to throw my bag inside, and I'm going to do something unusual that I've never done before, so you guys are going to be the first to see it. I don't know how it's going to work. Okay, this stuff is called Rest Easy. It's like cinnamon. It's an all-natural sort of insect repellent. Instead of permethrin or permethrin, you can use this stuff, and it smells great. It's cinnamon and lemon oil, and and it smells almost like a red hot candy, but it will irritate your skin, or at least my skin, when it gets on it. So what I've done, instead of spraying it on any of my clothing or my gear, I'm kind of spraying it in the area before I put my tent down, and we'll talk more about this and see how it works. I'm going to spray this stuff all around the bottom edge of my tent. And this is that Rest Easy bug stuff. We're going to see how this works. Okay, so this is the rig that I'm carrying this weekend. It's very lightweight because I'm not carrying cooking gear. I'm not carrying any sort of deep wilderness type gear. It's mainly clothes and sleeping gear, toiletries, towel, some lighting, a little LED lamp that I carry, that I hang in the tent. There is one luxury that's not on my back, and I wouldn't bring it if I had to hike any distance, but it's a cot. Yeah, I know. Keep it to yourself. I like my luxuries occasionally. I have spent plenty of time on the ground, and when it's possible for me to have a cot, I put a cot in here. This is a 4-man tent, so it holds a cot and my gear easy. In the wilderness, at least in wilderness survival, priorities are STOP, S-T-O-P, which means stop, think, observe, and plan. And then first aid. Does anybody need first aid in your survival situation? And then shelter. So we have sort of progressed properly. Even though this is not a survival situation, you can still apply those rules here. The last trip I was on, I brought a wool blanket, and we had a lot of storms come through, and the weather really got cool. So this time I'm bringing a lightweight summer sleeping bag. I'm lucky, over the years I've accumulated lots of different sleeping bags, and this is just one of them. If you're an outdoorsman, nobody really knows what to buy for you on your birthday or Father's Day or anniversary. So I've accumulated lots of gear that people have bought for me, and they were very nice. This is a good one. This is a pillow. And normally I just carry a pillowcase and then stuff clothes in the pillowcase. But this thing is small enough, and it fits in with other gear that I already carry, and it self-inflates. You just unscrew the thing here, and it starts to breathe in. What I'm going to do is just let it breathe a little bit right here, and we'll see what happens. So what I've done, this cot is very nice because I can put all my gear underneath the cot and then have the space above. And because this is a 4-man tent and not some giant Taj Mahal, although it's pretty giant compared to most backpacking tents, it's a good deal. The weight is about right. The size is pretty good for one person with all this hooey that I'm bringing. So I've liked it so far. And if you haven't bought a tent yet, I want you to pay attention to a couple of features here. See this little flap? This flap will help keep the wind and the rain out of that, coming through that zipper. Sometimes it's a little annoying to have to deal with it, but I think it's there as a pretty good part of the design. So home sweet home, and it's going to be a great weekend.